What's crapping? All right, all right. What is crapping? So, thought I would do something a little bit different right here. Um, Now I'm no pro at this, so I'm just learning how to do this whole screen capture deal. But I've got some kind of cool stuff I wanted to share. Let's see. About mixing. So let me tell you what it's about first. So if you're in a band and you're mixing your own shows, then that's what this is going to be focused towards. And I think I'm going to do a few different videos. This is not my normal thing, but I think I'm going to do a few different videos in, maybe we'll just call it a series, and how to do that. So you'll find, let's just find one of these scenes right here. You'll find a lot of times, I don't know that I actually mixed that one, that you end up without a sound guy, that you end up doing your own thing, doing your own sound. You're running it from the stage. And of course, the program, the platform I'm on right here is this, the Behringer Xair 18. So if you're familiar with that, well, then this ought to be pretty easy for you. Otherwise, this works on any of the platforms, really. The Midas platform, whatever. We're going to talk about EQ. Let me just get to the point here. I want to talk about frequency stacking, and it's something that I really wasn't ever told or taught, but I've had to kind of learn it as time has went on. And what I mean by frequency stacking, and I see it so much, so often, is, let's just say, for example, if you, number one, if you don't really know your frequencies, that's okay. You can go on YouTube, find you a tone generator, and learn them that way. Like what I mean by your frequencies, when you look at a graphic EQ, an old school graphic EQ, and you see your sliders, 630 hertz, 1K, 4K, 3 point, it's just etc. I don't remember them all anymore at this point. But I can get pretty close, and I can tell from the sound of whatever the frequency is doubled up on or generating and that I don't like. I can find it pretty quickly. So, frequency stacking. So, if you know anything about vocals, as far as EQ goes, your S's and T's sibilants are located, different vocals have different ranges, but between, say, I don't want to go as low as 2K, but it's possible. But 3K, 3.15, up to sometimes even 6K is where those S's and those T's live. So I'm just going to take a look. This is a really old mix, and this is actually not even a mix that I started, but I didn't finish. We had a sound guy come in, and he's a fantastic sound guy. So I'd love to go back and review what these cats did that might have been different from what I did, etc. And I'll load a couple of different scenes and we'll look at the differences. But on this particular one, I want to go, like, let's focus, okay, S's and T's. So looking back right here, my S's and T's were fine. As you can see, there's no boost here. If you don't know what we're looking at, I'm going to show you. So this is the frequency. You see what's moving here is right here, 1K. Right there. So you see where I'm at. And then when I'm moving this up or down, you see it's plus 2.5 dB. So that's where he had me kind of bumped right there, was about 1K, which is kind of normal because I've got a very low mid voice, not really much of a high mid. Well, I don't know. Just kind of depends on the mic I'm using. Right now I'm on an Audix OM5, and it has corrected a lot of my vocal EQs issues. So go back here, and this fella's vocal right here. Obviously, he found his S's and T's around in the 3K. That's nothing more than pronunciation. Pronunciation. That's what we're talking about. So, and then we see right here, this guy was fine. We just cut out a little bit of low end. We'll talk about all that shortly. But what I want to talk about is stacking. And a lot of times this is how you blow up your horns in your system. This is how you destroy people's ears. Whatever the case may be. You can see we had a little bass thumping right there. Everything else is flat. So if I go, for example, let's go to the kick drum, and we've got a wide Q on this 3K. So I normally will run a kick, the snap in that kick, a little lower than 3K, somewhere around in here. But it just depends. But right here, he found he widened out the Q quite a bit right here, just to give a broader frequency range. But what you'll find, and I just moved his setting there. What you'll find is if you go through the EQ sections here, you see your snare drum is almost the direct opposite of the kick drum as far as your EQ curves go. And I love doing that. It makes the snare and kick work good together. I'm nerding out right now a little bit. So, and when you start looking at your mixer and looking at your boost, not necessarily your dropouts, but primarily your boost, and you start noticing, God, man, my PA just sounds harsh. Go look at your individual EQs. And when I say frequency stacking, look at what lives in, and let's just use 3K for example, because we had the kick boosted up a little bit in 3K. So right here, 3K, 3.81, and then the hi-hat, obviously we're going to go a little higher for that really sizzly hi-hat, 4K. So I'm just looking right here, okay? I'm just going to click through and what all lives in that frequency range. Okay, we've got a tom right here, so I probably would have moved that down a bit. Tom 2, we've got a boost at 1K. And tom 3, we're back at 2K. So I'm looking for what else is in 3K. And so only two things. There might have been was there a third? Gosh, I don't remember. So let's go back to vocals here. And as you can see, right here, 3K, we're living in that. 1K there. And nothing really boosted at 3K here. Nothing boosted at 3K here. So what I'm getting at, we get compliments a lot on our sound and how full it is. This is one of the ways that we're able to do that, is because I focus really, really heavy on frequency stacking and not doing that. So if I went over here to my kick drum and look at that boost, man, on that. So I've got a heavy boost in 3K right here. You can see that clearly, right? I actually moved it over a little bit, but it's about 3.8. So knowing that, and I always sound check my drums first, knowing that, I know I have to be careful with everything else after that, not to boost 3K too heavy, because it's going to really blast that horn, and that's going to in turn blast people's ears. So when I say frequency select and frequency stack, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's an old school something you just kind of learn on the road, really. I've toured with a lot of bands, and I do the sound for our band. So I'll tell you what, I'll go load another scene, one we're not really currently using, but we've used because I certainly do not want to mess up anything I've got going. That's really a good scene for us. So let's go to this scene right here, and let's take a look and see if this is one that I did. We're similar. So there you see similar EQ paths. Overheads, I know people gripe about, man, you really cut those overheads way down. Well, I don't really want the overheads to get my toms. I want them individually, and I gate them really heavy. I let them ring enough, and then I let that gate just destroy the rest of the sound, just enough to get that doom and then it drops. I don't uh, I don't mind overheads getting picking up toms. It gives it a great sound. It just depends on where we're playing and what we're doing. Most of the time I end up gating them pretty heavy. I'll show you that in another video. Right now we're looking, did Gary frequency stack anything here? And as you can see, so okay, here's a great example. So look at these three toms right here. So I widened the Q right here. Obviously that first tom just wasn't giving me enough high end and a broad range of it. Tom 2, I just needed that spike right there at 1K. Those are usually terrible frequencies, but sometimes they just work. And then Tom 3 needed that spike at 2K. I didn't want the frequency stack there on top of 1K with the other one. So a lot of times it'll just be a matter of how do you find that snap? Maybe you just go and you pick a frequency and you have the drummer hit that tom 1, 2, 1, doom, 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 and then you just keep moving and keep moving and keep moving until you find it and it sounds right. Doesn't have to necessarily, it could be way up here, man. It doesn't, if it sounds good, it sounds good. You don't have to get too technical with all that. So I don't know. And how do you find your frequencies? This is my phone. Obviously, this is where we gained a few more subs for low end, I'm sure, because that previous one had that phone boosted quite a bit. Right here, I've got it dropped. So we obviously were mixing pretty low end heavy at this show. And that shows you right there the kick drum doesn't have much of a boost in the low end. But anyways, frequency stacking, man, be careful with that, and it can really cause you a lot of trouble, but it can sure help you out if you understand it and you don't do it. So I hope that helps somebody, and I kind of nerd out over this kind of stuff. I still love doing sound for our band and other bands on top of that. Like I said, I was on the road for almost 10 years, I guess, and then came home, bought my own PA system and started doing that. But man, I learned so much from other techs. It was super cool. We didn't have all this, of course, but it still worked the same. So if you're in a band and you do the sound for your band, you know what? I'm going to help you get better at it by doing a few of these little videos. I learned it from somebody, so I hope you learn it. All right. I hope I did this right. Y'all take it easy. Peace.